Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and today we are doing the final tier list out of the verse 1, 2, and 3 tier list. We are doing the verse 3 tier list, obviously. So before we get into that, if you guys do play on the global server of Nikke, and you guys want to add me, here it is. Like, my ID is going to be there. Hopefully I remember, but I'll leave it in the pinned comment or the description. Here's my name and my ID. If you guys want to add me on the global version, make sure you guys add me. Just because, like, I already made a community post and we're getting people here now, right? But it's just like I have friends here who haven't played in 100 days, right? So I'm trying to like just refresh on that. So sorry, just a little quick announcement. Make sure you guys follow me. But back to the actual video. So we are here. I've already put the SRs here, so let's just start with it. So first we got Mihara, right? Don't think she has any value whatsoever, because basically her first skill, right, basically just increases her crit damage by 18.7% when the last bullet hits. And then her second skill, of course her first skill, it increases crit damage, but if she doesn't crit, useless. It's how I see it. It's just how it is. Right, activates when using a full burst, activates or affects selves. Highway to Helm increases her attack by 56% for 45 seconds, right? So I give her that, right? It is still pretty, I mean, I don't want to say pretty low. I mean, it is kind of pretty low, like 15.56%. It is to herself, but it is 45 seconds. So if you are a new player, you could use her, and she could probably get you through a lot of the stuff early on. And it's obviously going to be there forever, or I guess it's only when you use a burst skill though. But it lasts for 45 seconds. It's probably going to take you 45 seconds to get back into it. So yeah, she's going to be consistent with that attack. I'll give her that, right? The crit rate is just kind of useless in my opinion. And then obviously her active, it's a 40-second cooldown because she's a burst 3 unit. Most of them, if not every single one of them, will be 40 seconds. Full burst time lowered by 5 seconds. Not really good in my opinion, because you're just kind of losing damage, right? You get full burst damage essentially, and to lower that, they're just wasting, like, it's just kind of a waste in my opinion, right? That's why I like someone like Modernia, because they're just increasing it more, right? So yeah, and then she has the same effect of like power and stuff, but just AoE. If does 400% essentially of attack as damage, and then it will do additional damage of 266.4% if Highway to Hell 2 is activated, which is going to, what's it called, activate when you use a burst skill. So essentially it's just going to stay there the whole time, right? So I did put her in D tier. No real value, unless you're like a really new player and you just have nobody else to use. This girl could probably do some damage like for the first couple of stages, but you're not going to use her realistically. In B tier, we have Neve, right? Neve is such a nice character, nice looking character. She's actually a great character. Again, she's a limited character, so you most likely do not have her if you weren't playing around the time. But she actually is, I feel like she's gonna be pretty good, right? For whoever has her, right? If you want to use her, right? So affects one enemy unit with the lowest HP, deals 145% of attack as damage, right? So that's pretty big. That's every 10 seconds as well. That's pretty good. Her passive 2 is where she kind of shines, right? Anytime she enters full burst, she gets the pierce effect for 2 rounds, and then her attack is also increased by 124.8% for 2 rounds. She's gonna be any bosses, I don't want to say any bosses dying, but that's pretty big. The pierce effect on top of 100 plus. Not to mention characters you can put up with her, right? She's a burst 3 unit, so if I have someone like if I have Polly on my team, that's increased by 44% more. If I have Litter on my team, that's increased by like 44% more or something like that. If I have Privaty on my team, that's increased by 20% more. It's big, right? If you actually, since she's a burst 3, you actually can make her just hit so hard against bosses, especially since she gets the pierce effect, right? So I'm going to give her a big boost for that, right? Think about what I just said. You can put a lot of characters from burst 1, 2, and even burst 3 on the team with her, and she will hit very hard. I'm going to actually like do a showcase with her, because obviously I think she's going to be a very useful unit, right? And then obviously her full burst activates or affects herself, increases her hit rate by 22.04% for 20 seconds, and her crit rate by 31.95%, right? 31.95% is okay. right? She's gonna crit. If she does crit too with the pierce and the attack, it's gonna be good, right? So I am gonna give her the B tier just for that. I give her B though because she is limited. I don't want to say because she's limited, but like nobody's gonna have her, right? But that's not why she's in B. It's just B is this is a really good option. I'm not gonna say this is a main DPS really, but this is a really good option for anybody who wants a DPS character, right? So keep that in mind. And then next we have Rapi, kind of the same thing. Both of them kind of just increase their attack by a lot. So Rapi on her skill 1 increases her attack by 21.81% for 20 seconds after when attacked 20 times, right? Her second skill, I mean, affects one enemy with the highest. Like, this is big, bro. This is her second skill every 20 seconds deals 528.97% of attack as damage, and then she taunts. Like, that's so big for a skill. That's a skill too. And then her burst skill is just doing the same thing essentially, but of just a bit higher at 657.72% of attack. And then she's increasing her attack even more. Like, that's big, right? This is kind of big right here, what she's doing. She's gonna hit very hard, right? Definitely probably one of the better characters to use when you start an account. I feel like she's easily going to be the best one to use when you start an account. So yeah, those are those three. Okay, so we have Alice here, a very good unit as well. So let's talk about what she can do. So when entering full burst affects 2 allies with the highest attack, going to be your main DPS. Their charge speed increases by 11.67% for 10 seconds, and then their charge damage also increases for 7% by 7% for 10 seconds. That's very good, right? Her second skill, effect self, activates when 80% or higher HP. She has Pierce essentially, right? So the whole game, unless her HP drops below 80%, she has Pierce. That's basically what it is, right? Effect self, and then effects when HP falls below 80%, she just starts recovering HP of attack damage. Right, so when she's above 80%, she will have Pierce. If she falls below that, she will just continue to recover until she gets back to 80% and just get the Pierce back. That's just kind of crazy, right? And then obviously her burst skill, affects self, charging speed increase. Charging speed increases by 80, bro. Yo, you don't even understand. She's like a quick scope at this point. 80.15% for 10 seconds and increases her attack by 55.12% for 10 seconds. Not to mention if she has the Pierce, like, keep it, this is gonna be quick scoping basically. She's just gonna quick scope and be loading out bullets as a sniper. Very good unit in my opinion. Right, she is kind of a support there with the first skill, but she can do nice damage too, right? So I'm actually gonna give her a very nice tier. I'm gonna give her the S tier, right? She can definitely do a lot for you guys, right? A lot. Alright, so now we have Brid. So Brid affects self on her first skill. Affects self activates after normal 30 attacks, or 30 normal attacks, same thing. Increases her attack by 15.18% for 10 seconds. That's nice, she's getting herself an attack buff. Her second skill is called Leak. I guess it activates every 10 seconds. Affects the enemy with the highest attack. Deals damage equal to 200% of attack. That's going to be good. Especially since you can have, again, characters like Polly, characters like Litter, characters like Privaty to increase her attack even more for her so she can hit hard like that, right? Actually going to be very good if you actually do invest into this girl and build her like that. She's going to do wonders, right? She's actually going to do wonders. Is she an attacker? She is, right? So yeah, she's going to, wow, she's going to actually hit quite hard with that if you build her. And then her burst skill affects the enemy with the highest defense. Deals damage equal to 1,237.5% of attack, and then it doubles the damage if they're at max HP. Yo, she actually is gonna be, if you build Brid, I'm telling you, she's gonna be broken, like, because she's gonna hit hard, right? I don't feel like she's ever gonna really have this double damage when you have characters like, it depends on what you're running, right? And if you're on auto or manual, it really depends. But if you're on auto, you're most likely not going to, at least like the boss, I assume is going to be the enemy with the highest attack, right? Or highest HP, or highest defense, my bad. They're not going to have full HP, so you're not going to get that double damage consistently. So because of that, I will put her A tier. Like, I would say she's literally like what Neve and, and I don't want to say she's like them because they're really just increasing their attack. I guess she is, but just better, right? So I'll give Brid the A tier. All right, so we have Crow here. Now, as much as I love Crow, she is my favorite character in the game. I honestly think besides her burst skill, she has nothing else really going for herself, but let's talk about it. So her first skill affects all enemies, activates when in a full burst. It just lowers their or the enemy's attack by 20% basically for 10 seconds. That could be good. But I mean, yeah, that could be okay. I mean, it depends though. Like if they I wish she like increased our attack than lowering their attack, right? Because it would have been better, right? But it is what it is. Her second skill activates when the last bullet hits a target, affects target, deals 89.09% of attack as additional damage, okay? And then when the last bullet hits the target, affects herself, increases her own defense. Like, it's just kind of useless on her, that second skill. And then her burst skill deals 915%, 0.75% of attack as damage, right? And she attacks whoever has the highest attack, right? So the thing about burst 3 units is all of them, you're going to see majority of them, if not every single one of them, are going to have a high multiplier like that, right? So don't jump and freak out every time you guys see a character on this tier list with numbers like this. Burst 3 units are the DPSs of this game, basically. So they're always going to have high numbers like this on their burst skill. So because of that, it's not really crazy compared to all these characters. I feel like even Neve and Rapi themselves, with how they work, especially since Rapi gives herself the pierce effect, right? Was that her? Or was that Neve? I believe that was Rapi. No, that was Neve, right? Neve gives herself the pierce effect. Yeah, like Neve here, and increases her own attack. Like, I feel like she's gonna be more consistent, just in general, I want to say, than Crow, because this is only on her burst, which is attacking one enemy, and Neve's here is for 2 rounds, right? And that's like what happening every other second, not every other second, but whatever the cooldown was. So I'm gonna put Crow in C tier there. All right, so we got Drake. Drake, I would probably say, is the best shotgun in the game. I feel like she's easily the best shotgun in the game. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I would say is a better shotgun than her, but I can't see it, right? So the reason why she's so good as a shotgun is because at the beginning of a full burst, affects all allies, not even just herself, all allies, increases their attack and hit rate. Obviously, her being a shotgun, her best team is going to be the shotgun team. Shotguns want to have hit rates, right? Because obviously the bullets fly everywhere. With hit rate, it's all going to more like the higher the hit rate, the more it's going to connect rather than the bullets flying all over the place, right? So you want shotgun characters to have hit rate. So the fact that she just gives that for free at the beginning of a full burst and even some attack to everybody is pretty good, right? And then effects after 10 hits, affects 3 enemies with the lowest HP, just deals basically 98.55% of attack as damage. Just more damage, like more free damage. She's already gonna hit hard, right? Her regular skill hits 214%, right? It's a shotgun, right? It's going to, right? It's just crazy. This is pretty good. And then her burst skill, it's 40 seconds. Of course, all burst 3 characters are going to be around 40 seconds. If not, I think every single burst 3 character is a 40-second cooldown. But it was whatever, right? Affects the target within attack, or affects enemies within the attack range. Deals 1,054% of attack as damage. And then also increases her ammo capacity by 72.18%. Like, you understand? She's going to be going crazy. She's going to be going crazy. This is going to be good too, right? Because by her increasing her ammo capacity by that much, she's not even going to have to waste time reloading, right? She's not going to have to waste any time reloading. So, because of that, I will say Drake is an S tier unit, a very good option for DPS, probably one of the better DPSs in the game. I could honestly say, like, she's top 5 DPS in the game, right? Surprisingly, I could honestly say she's top 5 DPS in the game. So, yeah. Top 5 general DPS in the game. Okay, so we have, Epinel? I think I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm not. But let's take a look at Epinel here, I guess. I'm probably butchering her name. It's fine. Activates when killing an enemy. Affects self. Total noob. I like that. Increases her attack, and that stacks up to 5 times. Now, because this activates when killing an enemy, it probably is not going to be as consistent, because I assume it doesn't say when an enemy dies. It says when killing an enemy. So I assume she has to kill an enemy. Right, so that's not going to be as consistent, like, unfortunately, right? But her increasing her own attack by 13.8% 86% and up to 5 times that lasts for 15 seconds is good. But essentially, she has to kill an enemy every 15 seconds, or you're just gonna always stay at 1 stack. Does that make sense? Basically. So I'm not really good, too much of a fan of that first skill, just because it doesn't feel too consistent. Her second skill activates when the last bullet hits the target, affects self, increases her crit rate by 5% for 5 seconds, and her crit damage by 6.4% for 5 seconds. Nothing crazy at all. And then her active here, or her burst skill, my bad, affects all enemies, deals 457.87% of attack as damage, and then when attacking with total noob. Oh, okay, so this is not when it's fully stacked. It's just if she has total noob. So even they know it's not going to be as consistent, right? So, because usually when characters have an ability like this, it says it only works when, they're fully stacked. But hers says if she has the passive active, then she gets the double damage to all enemies. So I will say that's pretty good. They kind of cut her some slack there, so I'm actually going to give her an A tier. That's going to be pretty useful. Right, that's going to be pretty good, right? They gave her some slack. That extra damage to all enemies is going to be good, right? You could say she's like another Harran, right? Like a worse version of Harran when it comes to AoE burst skills, right? And if she has it, she's getting an attack buff regardless, so it's not going to be that bad, right? So yeah. So we got Guillotine here. Her first skill, affects self, casted after 100 normal attacks, increases her crit rate by 9% and lowers her HP. That's not good at all. That's actually horrid. If it activates affects self after landing 150 normal attack, then she increases her crit damage. And then when her HP falls below 70%, increases attack by 0.2%. It's kind of a flood effect. Increases attack by 0.2% for every 1% of HP loss. That could be good, actually. It's not going to be high still, because it's what? That's still not going to be that high. That's probably, 15%, I want to say, attack if you fall below. Well, it depends on where you're at, actually. That depends where you're at. It only activates when below 50 or 70%, but it depends where you're at. It's not like 70% and then up. It's just wherever you are after 70%, right? So, I mean, it's not that bad, actually. But obviously, she's going to have lower HP. Could have hurt her. And she's lowering her HP even more, so it's not really that crazy. Not a great combination right there. Her burst skill deals 1,237.5% of attack as damage, and then deals an additional when the same target's HP is below 50%. That's going to be pretty good. That ultimate is going to be a nuke, right? If they're below 50%, you're just going to do double damage, essentially. So, I mean, I can honestly give her a B tier for that, right? I think her ultimate is going to be a nice cheese as well. A pretty good cheese. Nothing like where it's like, what's it called? Powers or thing. But power, increases her own attack, you know? So, keep that in mind. She does too, but it's not as big as powers, I want to say. But yeah, I'm going to say that's B tier because that's pretty good on the burst skill there. So we have Harran here. Now, Harran is a very, very good character. Top 3 DPS in the game. We can just put her there already. She is an SS tier character. So let's talk about this. So she has a 25% chance when attacking, right, to activate this virus transfer, which constantly deals 17.28% of attack as damage for every 1 second for 5 seconds, right? And then if an enemy affected with this virus is killed, it just gets transferred to 2 more enemies. And I assume that just keeps on going and going and going and going and going and going, right? So it's like a chain. It's literally like a virus. It's literally what it is, a virus, right? It's gonna affect every enemy. It's just gonna be too much, right, to handle. Way too much to handle. So yeah. Her second skill activates when attacking with full charge effects of. She gains the Pierce for 1 round and then increases her crit chance. This is good because essentially every time she uses a skill, especially on auto, she's going to have full charge, right? She's fully charged. She's a sniper. She's going to full charge and she will guarantee to have Pierce. That's why she hits very hard. And then when she kills an enemy, she increases her attack by 3% essentially, and it stacks up to 15 times. That lasts for 10 seconds. So this could be consistent. It depends on how strong she's going to hit, right? I mean, again, with the ultimate here, her burst skill affects all enemies, deals 999% of attack as that. She's gonna basically one shot the whole map with this. Besides the boss, I want to say. So you're just gonna build up this, and then you're gonna have the pierce. You're gonna like it's gonna be great. Not to mention, since it's an AOE, you're probably gonna proc the like she just works really nicely. Harran works very, very nicely together. So, yeah, very good. All right, so we have Helm here. Now Helm, it's okay unit actually. I think she has use, but we're gonna take a look at it, right? So activates when the last bullet hits the target, affects all allies, increases their crit rate of normal attack by 14.64% for 5 seconds. That's okay, right? It's only gonna be of normal attacks though, so it's not gonna affect your burst skill. It's not gonna affect any type of passive skills. It's only gonna be your normal attack. So that's kind of a yikes there, but not really. Like I feel like that's actually just, I mean, people increase crit rate of everything else, right? Hers is only of normal attack, so technically it is worse, right, than like other characters. Her second skill affects all allies. Damage to interruption parts increased by 3.08% permanently. That's going to be very good for even somebody like to be paired up with something like Modernia, I feel like. And then obviously when entering a full burst, all allies get their attack increased by 11.85% for 10 seconds. That's free, so that's very good. Her burst skill deals 1,237.5% of attack damage to the enemy with the highest HP. That's good numbers there. I mean, it's okay numbers. Like that's what average is at this point for burst 3 characters. And then obviously recovers 54.45% of attack damage for 10 seconds for all allies. So she has a healing effect there for all allies. Pretty good overall. Like just she's more of just a general support. Pretty good, so I'm just gonna give her the A tier there. She could do damage here, but it's not gonna be really anything crazy. But yeah. So we have Isabel here. Now Isabel is a character that takes time to build up, right? Because let's look at her skill. So activates when using burst skill, affects self, increases her crit rate by 6.26% for 45 seconds, right? That's not really that good, but it's still there. Like the crit rate is low. I think the 6% is not good enough, right? And then activates when using a burst skill again while the marked target is what's it called, affected. So she's not really gonna get anywhere with this, right? Especially since she is a 40-second cooldown essentially. Well, no, it's actually gonna be consistent. I think you're just barely gonna make it though with 5 seconds left. But activates when using burst skill during mark target 1, increases her crit damage by 18% for 45 seconds, right? And then obviously the previous effect triggers repeatedly, so this will stack basically. And then activates when you use your burst skill for the 3rd time essentially while the mark 2 is applied, increases attack by 17.82% for 45 seconds, and it previously I guess affects like these double again, so that could be good. Because by then her crit rate's gonna be increased by what? 18% I want to say, and then her crit damage is gonna be increased by around like 40 something percent, and then her attack is not gonna be increased at all, right? She deals damage to 5 enemies with the highest defense of 170% of attack of damage every 15 seconds. That's free, so we'll take it. And then her burst skill affects all enemies, deals 149.85% of attack of damage. And then effects changes according to the caster status, right? So if she's in Mark 1, then the damage taken increases by 40% for 5 seconds. If she's in Mark 2, deals an additional damage of 300% basically. And if she's in Mark 3, it deals an additional damage of 350%. I'm just gonna round up at this point, right? Because these numbers are just silly. 350% of attack and of additional damage. And she lowers the full burst time, right? Her lowering the full burst time is actually good for her, so that you have more time to get back into her thing. But it's kind of selfish. So I'm not gonna give her that high of a tier. Probably the B tier. I don't think she honestly could go anywhere else, right? She's so selfish, right? Essentially, she's lowering the burst time herself so that she could work and do more. Like, she would have to basically be hitting the hardest on your team, and I promise you she's not. So, I'm honestly surprised. There's probably supports who will hit harder than her, surprisingly. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we have Yulha here. Bad character. Off rip, just D tier character, in my opinion. A horrid character. So she increases her crit rate by, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, bro. She increases her crit rate by 26% for 10 seconds, right? That's on her first skill. Every other 10 seconds she does that after 20 seconds. So keep that in mind. Activates when the last bullet hits a target, increases their crit damage by basically 25%. That can stack up to 5 times every 15 seconds. That's gonna be like very efficient there, but if she's not critting, then that's useless, right? That's how you got to see these. And then her burst skill, it just doubles the damage when fully stacked on her second skill, which is like Crescendo. But it deals 544.5% of attack to 5 enemies with the highest defense, so that could be pretty good. But yeah, overall, like her whole point is to crit, right? The thing is, she's not gonna increase her crit rate until 20 seconds in the match. So that's kind of basically, if she's not increasing her crit rate within the first 20 seconds, like she's barely going to crit. It's just not consistent enough at all. It's actually just a D-tier unit in my opinion, right? So yeah. All right, so we have Laplace here. Laplace, it's pronounced Laplace, but people call it Laplace. We have her here. She's an okay unit. I mean, actually pretty good, and now like pretty good, I would say, especially against bosses. That's where she's really gonna shine. But let's talk about it. So, activates when landing a hit with full charge on auto. She's always gonna do that, even if you're playing manually. She's always gonna do that, and she's just gonna increase her explosion range because she's a rocket launcher. That's going to be pretty good. So yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, right, for her. Her second skill activates when the last bullet hits a target, deals an additional 81.66% of attack as additional damage. Gonna be useful, actually pretty good. And then activates when hitting a boss's part, deals 14.78% of attack as additional damage, right? So if the last bullet hits a boss's part, you're gonna basically do both of these together, additional damage. Very good. Now her ultimate here is where she kind of shines here, but it's kind of like here and there. It's kind of iffy. So she changes her weapon essentially into a machine gun. That's what it is. And then max damage is 897.6% of an attack. Does damage over time of 14.52% of attack, but it lasts for 5 seconds. Right? She does get pierce. If the enemy unit with hero vision, or affects the same enemy unit when hero vision is fully stacked, deals an additional 11.9% of attack as true damage. So her burst skill hits very, very hard when perfectly set up, right? Which is basically going to be when hero vision is fully stacked. I don't feel like that's going to take long to build up, actually, because it's only going to take 1 second to charge up, right? It's not going to take that long to build up. Right, so her ultimate hits very, very hard, and that's going to be very good against bosses, right? She's like a very good cheese against bosses. So because of that, I'm actually going to give her the S tier, because I feel like late game bosses are everything in this game, essentially. Like literally, late game bosses are everything in the game, right? Or I want to say end game bosses are everything in the game, essentially. Unless you're like doing PvP, tower, right? No, I mean, bosses are going to be up there in the tower, but PvP not really going to be that useful in my opinion. But overall, she's going to be pretty good. Explosion range is going to be good for AoE damage. The additional damage is going to be just great in general, since it's 81, and then for a boss's part that increases by 41 or by 14% if it's the last bullet as well. Does that make sense? And her burst skill is just one tapping everything, basically. I don't want to say one tapping, but it's taking a lot of HP off a boss. Alright, so we got Maiden here. Her first skill activates when attacked 20 times. Revenge attack increases by 26.66% for 20 seconds. That's nice. Actually, I kind of like that, right? Revenge, I like that. She just increases her attack by like a nice amount too. Affects all enemies. Attracts for 10 seconds, so she basically taunts, I want to say. And then increases her... What? Attracts, so she does taunt. That would be attract, right? A taunting? Yeah, that's taunt. Everybody just focuses on her. Is that really good though? Like, she's not meant to be a... Okay. Is she a defender? She's an attacker. What? Okay, she increases her own crit damage though by 152%. Is she crit? Yeah, if she crit, she's hitting somebody, I'm telling you. And then her burst skill just does damage to all enemies of 457%. And then if revenge status is there, it just basically does, I guess, additional damage. It doesn't say additional damage, but it just redoes the damage, essentially. But yeah, her crit damage increase is high, but I feel like she's kind of a bad character, in a sense, because, like, she's taunting for no reason. right? It doesn't matter if you increase your crit damage and your attack by so much. You're gonna die. I'm sorry, she's gonna die if she's taunting like that. And it's for 10 seconds. For 10 seconds, she's gonna die, y'all. Alright, so we have Maxwell here. Maxwell activates when entering a full burst. Affects 2 allied units with the highest attack. Increases her charge speed by 4.48% for 10 seconds. And then wait. I want to see something. Okay, so I didn't realize her weapon is a shotgun. I'm gonna put her up, cause that's gonna be good. She's gonna hit very hard with a shotgun. Yeah, she's still gonna die though. Actually, nah, she's still gonna die though. But with a shotgun, she's gonna hit hard. Okay, we're back on Maxwell. So Maxwell, when entering a full burst, affects 2 allies with the highest attack. This is pretty good here. She increases their attack by 43. 43, bro. I'm telling you, you guys don't even know. Burst 3 units. Like, if you have Modernia or Scarlet and then just bring, like, a burst 1 character. So, for example, your burst 1 character would be Privaty, right? Or not Privaty. Litter. Your burst 2 character could be Polly, even though she has a 40-second cooldown. You would have, like, Modernia or Scarlet and then bring Privaty and, like, Maxwell. Do you understand how much your attack is being increased off a full burst for your 1 DPS? Like, it's insane. When these characters are level 10, you are increasing their attack by damn near 200%. They're one-tapping stuff, right? You put Scarlet in the middle of all these buffs and she's one-tapping. This is big, right? And she's a burst 3 unit, right? And this is only working when you get into a full burst. She doesn't even need to use her burst skill, so that's free too. That's a good ability right there. Her skill 2 activates when there's above when there are above 5 enemies, excluding Nikke. Effects of increases her crit rate by 4%, crit damage by 13%. What's her weapon? She's a sniper rifle. It's okay. That's okay. And then her burst skill changes weapon in use, deals damage of 313%, 0.42%. I want to say of attack. It's just 1 bullet and then she gets pierced. So it's basically like a worse Snow White there. It's just a worse Snow White there. But again, this is gonna be a good character. This is gonna be a very good character when it comes to, again, increasing attack for your main DPSs. This is free. All you gotta do is be in a full burst. You don't even have to use her burst skill. Now we got Modernia. Now Modernia, we're gonna put her in SS tier. People consider her to be the best character in the game. Over Scarlet. Like, I could see why, but let's talk about it. So, activates when normal attack hits, affects the targets. She just deals an additional 3.05% of attack as additional damage. That's free, so okay. Activates when normal attack hits 200 times, affects of. She increases her crit damage by 14.25%. That stacks up to 5 times, by the way. And lasts for 10 seconds. I think she can get that done. That's going to be consistent. That's going to be there. And then she decreases her ammo capacity as well. That stacks up. So the reason why that's good is because she has 300 ammo bullets, right? If she's decreasing her ammo capacity, you're basically going to be, rather than doing 300 bullets, it kind of hurts there, I want to say, right? Because rather than doing 300 bullets, you're doing 200, let's say, like 260, and then you got to reload. Right? But if you were to do 300 and then reload, it takes longer with 300 and it's kind of faster with like less. It's kind of hard to word it there, but like it's good or bad depending on how you want to see it, right? It's good because it's lowering the ammo and then you're going faster essentially because it's less ammo, but it's hurting her because of reload speed. But then it's gonna be fine if you give her the right cube, and especially with Overlord gear, she's gonna be fine, honestly, so it's okay. And then her skill 2 affects all allies, activates when entering full burst, increases their hit rate by 8.56% for 15 seconds. Very, very nice. Affects self when entering, or activates when normal attack hits 200 times during the increased hit rate status. So if she hits 200 times while you're in a full burst, she just increases her own attack by 30% for 10 seconds. Free. Right? So you put Modernia in the middle with Litter, Polly, Maxwell, and Privaty. Somebody's dying. Somebody's dying too quick, right? Affects all allies, increases their burst time, right? She grants unlimited ammunition, and then she gets into destroy mode, where basically all enemies become known as one single target enemy. Like, it becomes one enemy. So she attacks one enemy, and everybody else who's recognized as, like, whatever other enemies are there are basically all you could say shared damage. It's basically shared damage, right? And then deals 2.24% of attack damage for 15 seconds, right? Additional damage, I want to say. So very, 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 very good unit. Very good for clearing mobs when it comes to those stages where it's like protect the flag, I want to say. Probably easily the best character for something like that. When it comes to defense, to where you have to like stop the enemies from crossing the wall, she is probably going to be the best DPS in majority of the content in the game, I would say, right? Scarlet is there, but like this girl, the game is more AoE enemies than bosses, I want to say. Until really late game, like you're really only focusing on bosses late game. So that's why I kind of want to say Modernia is better than Scarlet. But again, it's really up to whatever people want to decide. Alrighty, so we have Power here. Now Power is a very unique character because essentially on her first skill, every time she uses a full charge, she increases her attack that stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 3 seconds. That could be very consistent, but you have to basically build a team around her for that to be very consistent, right? But the reason why she's so broken, I'm going to skip her skill 2 for a second. The reason why she's so broken is because her burst skill essentially is the highest. Like, look, she gets 3,116, or I don't remember what the number was. I think it's like 3,168% of attack if Blood Fiend is fully stacked. That's like one-shotting enemies, bro. I'm sorry. You're cheesing bosses with that. Very, very good active. What's it called? Burst skill there. And then her second skill just increases her reload speed by 100%. Not reload speed. It just reloads her bullets 100%. When after landing 18 normal attacks, and then increases her explosion radius by 38.61% for 10 seconds, which is good because that's just going to be great for AoE damage, right? So honestly, like surprisingly, you wouldn't think of it, but I'm actually going to put Power in the S tier. I think she's a very good character, right? Like I know when she first came out, people weren't really saying she was all that meta, but I do think she's like, especially since late game majority of the majority of the enemies are bosses, I feel like she's gonna like shine there, right? And especially she's basically a cheat. She's one-shotting bosses with this, right? The only problem with her, which is I guess why I would want to put her in A tier, is because you need to build a team around her for her to stay consistent with this first skill, essentially, because it's only lasts for 3 seconds, which is pretty low. So yeah, I'm gonna keep her in A tier just for that, I want to say. Alright, so we have Privaty. Now, we're not even going to hold you. Privaty is so good because of her first skill. When entering a full burst, all allies' attack increased by 23.61%. Reload speed increased by 51.16% is crazy. And then she lowers the ammo capacity. Like, what are we talking about here? She very, very good. Her ultimate, or her burst skill, is also going to be useful. She stuns for 3 seconds and does deal AoE damage. Very, very useful as well. That stun for 3 seconds can come into play. It's better than 1 second like other characters. And then her skill 2, when the last bullet hits a target, she deals additional damage. And then when the enemy hit by the last round of ammunition, if they're stunned, will deal an additional 1,000 damage. So essentially, there's like this second part of her second skill will only matter if her last bullet hits an enemy that's stunned, right? So you could kind of build characters like a team around her for that, but she's not really your main DPS. She's just the main like support. But again, that's pretty good, right? I do want to kind of give her the S tier. I will give her the S tier because that's pretty good, right? If they're stunned, she'll do an additional 1,000 for free, and then but it's really her first skill that's keeping her up there at S tier, right? That's a lot that she's doing. All right, so we got Scarlet. We know where Scarlet goes. She's an SS tier. I want to put her like behind Modernia. I just like it like that, to be honest. But Scarlet is very, very good. She's the hardest hitting like solo enemy unit. What am I saying? She's the hardest hitting like solo enemy, hardest hitting unit in the game for solo enemies, essentially, right? After landing 10 normal attacks, she increases her attack by 23.15%. That stacks up to 5 times. Like what? 100% for free. That's gonna be there. The only thing is that she lowers her HP. That's the only thing about her. She's lowering her HP, but you can heal it up, right? Right? If the attacker or affects the attacker, 30% chance of casting when attacked, deals additional 138%. So when she's being attacked, she has a 30% chance of just doing an additional 138% of attack damage, right? Of attack as damage is pretty good. That's free as well. And then when her HP falls below 60%, increases her crit damage by 6%. Nothing too crazy there in my opinion, but it's there. When her HP falls below 50% on her burst skill, increases her crit rate by basically 20%, and then does AoE damage to all enemies, 849% of attack damage. Like, she's a very, 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 very good unit. She's the hardest thing unit in the game. The fact that she's just gonna have this consistently over time, and then again, if they attack her, she just does this damage. Like, she's like basically like a cheat code. You could say she has a reflect effect, right? That's why she's a very, very good unit. So yeah. All right, so we're now at Snow White. Snow White's biggest feat is her burst skill, so let's just go there. Basically, she gets penetration, right? And she gets full charge damage increased by 1000%. Deals basically 500% of attack damage. It's one thing, right? This is great for bosses. Like, it's like power, but just like it's just power's thing, but basically just one-shotting, right? She's one-shotting bosses with this skill, right? People literally build only Snow White's burst skill just for this effect, right? Right, like her other skills are okay. After when normal attacks hit 30 times, affects the enemy target, deals 82.8% of attack as additional damage, and then activates when normal attack hits 30 times, increases her attack. She's increasing her attack by a bit more, 8%, nothing too crazy, but it's there. Affects enemies within the attack range, deals 144.73% of attack as damage. Yep, every 15 seconds. That's free. And then she increases her crit rate by 26.1% for 10 seconds when attacking in a full burst. So that's going to be good again when it comes to what's it called? Her burst skill here. So yeah, honestly, her main thing is going to be her burst skill, but she is a pretty good unit. Honestly, she's a very, very good unit. Because she's just gonna one-shot literally whoever that bullet hits. Literally, she's going to penetration. She's going to one-shot whoever that touches. All right, so we got Soline here. Activates after 40 normal attacks. Affects self. She increases her attack speed. So there's another character who does it. Okay. So her and Sugar right now are the only two characters I know that increase their attack speed, right? Let's see if that even matters though, right? Affects self at max HP. Only affects self at max HP, sure. Increases her crit rate by 2% permanently and crit damage by... Like, stop, bro. That's hot garbage. I mean, it's nice, but it's like, it's just not enough. 2% is nothing to go crazy about, you know what I mean? But her burst skill affects enemies within the attack range, deals 396% of attack. Okay, and casts on the same enemies when... Oh my god. So if her HP is at full, then this is where this comes into play. Nice. Deals an additional 924% attack as damage, right? Only when she's at full. So you better pray to God you got somebody protecting her. Rapunzel, you're gonna want to have her with somebody who can heal her, right? But because she kind of relies on having full HP to really be effective, I'm not gonna give her a high tier. I'm probably just gonna put her in A, B tier. Right? Because she kind of depends on having that full... the attack speed doesn't really mean much, right? I mean, it's good, but it doesn't really mean much. And it's only for 3 seconds. It's not going to really... It's just a waste of a skill, essentially. 3 seconds is like... I don't want to say it's a waste of a skill, but it's not doing anything, really. And then her skill 2 is basically a waste of a skill 2. And it's not... Even at full HP, it's nothing to jump about. 2% is nothing. Right, and then the crit damage doesn't matter if she's not critting. When a 2% increase, she's still not going to be critting like that. So let's stop it. Yeah. All right, so we got Sugar here. Sugar is more used on a not iron team, a shotgun team, right? So her first skill affects self 20% chance of casting when cover is under attack. Reload speed increased by 12.12% for 10 seconds, and crit damage increased by 16.39%. That's actually pretty good because it's whenever cover is under attack. It's a 20% chance. That's still not crazy, 20%, but it's when your cover is under attack, which is guaranteed going to be under attack. So that's free essentially if she does proc it, right? Affects self. When she gets into the full burst, she increases her crit rate by 13.2% for 10 seconds. Nice. And then affects all allies with shotguns when entering full burst. Increases ammo capacity by 38.08% for 10 seconds. Like for shotguns, that's very good. right? That's very, very good. And then her burst skill increases her attack speed by 68% for 15 seconds and her hit rate by 33. Like, hello? I'm sorry. Like, as a solo shotgun character, broken. I'm gonna get... like, yeah, as a solo shotgun support... like, I don't want to say support. But as a solo shotgun character, an independent character, she's really just doing too much for herself, right? The little like ammo increase for shotgun users is very good for a shotgun team, but what she does for herself is very, very good and is going to be effective in content. So I'm gonna give her the 8 here for that. Alrighty, so we got Vesti here. So Vesti activates when hitting a target with full charge. Effects of explosion range equals or goes up by 15.01% for 10 seconds, right? Okay, that's not gonna be bad. Like, that's only really good for characters like bosses that have those red circles that move around a lot, I want to say. Because what is she? A shotgun, right? No, she's a rocket launcher. Okay, it's basically the same thing. Not really, but it is. Activates when using burst skill. Okay, so she has to use a burst skill here. Survival Instinct 1 increases her attack by 5% for 5.35% for 45 seconds. Okay. Activates when using... Okay, so it's kind of like... I forgot who just had... I think it's Isabel who has this skill. Selfish. But basically, when she uses... Okay, when she uses her burst skill 3 times, because she's going to always have this, right? She's always going to have this regardless. 45%, or 45 seconds out of 40 seconds, you have 5 seconds left. She's always going to have this, right? So let's cut it out. When she uses her burst skill a total of 3 times, she'll increase her crit rate by 15.51%, increase her crit damage by 22.34%, multiplied by, I guess, 1 or 2, I want to say, so that'll double it after 3 times. It basically doubles the previous effect every time you use a burst skill. So the first time you use a burst skill, you're going to increase your attack by 5.35. When you use the burst skill the second time, you're going to increase your crit damage by 22%, but your attack is going to increase by basically an extra 5%. Right? And because it's a buff, it's going to basically stack, I want to say. Essentially, right? Or it's just probably going to refresh, right? So it doesn't really matter. I don't know. It's probably just going to refresh, not really stack. So yeah. And then her burst skill takes out 2 missile counters or containers. That's pretty nice. She just removes them, basically. That's... Oh. Yeah, she'll be good for Chatterbox. Really good for Chatterbox, yeah. Because Chatterbox has the missile. I just did a video on Chatterbox. That's why I know so well about that one. Dealing 15.56% attack as damage to the enemies with the lowest HP for every 1 second for 18 seconds. That's pretty good. Her burst skill is not even that bad, honestly. She lowers her full burst time, though. Again, so selfish. It's such a selfish unit. This is going to be a 50-minute video, right? My. Honestly, all not that like consistent, though. Wherever Isabel is, she's basically the same thing. A bit more useful, though, because I guess basically the same thing as Isabel. And then we got Yulha. What's it? Activates when attacked 30 times. Increases her crit rate by 25%, let's say, for 20 seconds. Not that bad. Affects 5 allies. Every 30 seconds, affects 5 allies with the lowest HP. Your whole team, basically. Increases their attack by 90%. That's pretty good, but it's only 5 seconds. And then she does shared, shared damage taken for 10 seconds. That's nice. And then her burst skill does 58% AoE damage. And then if the target's under the calm status, if the target is under the calm status, she does double damage basically, or deals an additional of just the same number, right? This is good. The 90%, it's only 5 seconds, so it's every other 25 seconds after 30 seconds, right? Because it's a 30-second thing, you have to wait 30 seconds, then it will apply, and then every 25 seconds after that, it will work. So it's not consistent at all. Not really that good of a unit, but the 90% is free. Like, that's going to be good, but it's just not consistent. So this right here is a 50-minute video. My God. This right here is going to be the Burst 3 tier list. You guys let me know if you agree or not. And for now, that's going to be it, right? I don't want this video to be any longer than it has to be. Again, also, I just said I don't want it to be any longer. But again, if you want to add me, my ID, sorry for the little lag there. My ID is here, global server. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. I am out. Later. Peace.